Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. I am so excited for the bracelet we're making today. So this is a normal pattern. If you know the difference between normal and alpha patterns, that will mean something to you. If not, this is probably what you're expecting. So let's get started. First, we're going to be using this pattern. Now we're going to need our colors. So in this pattern, we have a black, and I'm going to use this dark brown for that one. We have a white, and I'm going to actually use silver for the stars. We have our pink for our sky, our blue for the sky, and our yellow for the sky. So these are the colors I will be using today. You can use whatever colors you'd like, and you can mix and match. That's what's so fun about these bracelet patterns, is you can kind of do whatever you want with them. So let's get started. You're also going to need some tape to tape down your string, but that is all you'll need for this pattern. So I am going to pull out enough string so that I have all the string I need in this pattern. I am going to make this bracelet adjustable, and I'll show you just how to do that, but I will also be making another video soon that goes into depth more if I don't explain it well enough, but I will do my best. So let's get started. We're going to need one of these pink strings, 2 yellow strings, 2 white strings, 2 blue strings, and 3 black strings. We can tell that's how many strings we'll need because of the lines at the top of the pattern. So you're going to pull these out. You want them to be pretty nice and long. I would say make them about a little more than half of your wingspan, just to be safe, to make sure we have enough to work with. But this should give us enough room to do our adjustable back and also do the pattern. So then I'm going to cut right here. I'm going to cut enough of those strings that are the full wingspan length of all the colors. So again, I only need 1 pink, but then I'm going to need 2 of all the other sky colors, and I'll need 3 of that brown color. So I will meet you when you have cut all of those out. So I am just finishing up cutting my last string. Going to make it just as long as all the other ones. Perfect. Now, in order to do this adjustable back sort of situation with the bracelets, you can either start by doing it with the ends of your string first, or you can choose to make your bracelet first, but you're gonna have to make sure you leave yourself enough excess string that you can make a good amount of twisty. So I would say with how much we cut out, we will easily be able to get away with leaving about 10 inches, I would say. It's a little bit less than a foot. So let's right now actually just wait to twist it until after we're done with our bracelet. Again, you can do it before, but if we do it after, I can explain it once and then we can do it on both sides easily. So you can either just tape right here, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little knot. So I'm going to take a circle like that and pull these strings all the way through. So we're not doing a loop at the top yet because we're going to be doing that adjustable back, but we're just making a nice tight knot right here. So that'll hold our strings together while we are making the bracelet, and then we'll do our adjustable end right here. So now I'm going to tape right above that knot our bracelet onto whatever our workspace is. Some people like to pin it onto their jeans while they make it, or tie it onto their water bottle, and that's something you can definitely do. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you on the desk because that is how I like to do it most times, and it makes it a lot easier to see what I'm doing. So first, we've got to separate our strings into the pattern that they need to start out in. So that means all 3 of our brown strings, or if you're following the exact colors of the pattern, black, but I'm going to reference to it as brown so I don't get confused. We're going to put all of our brown strings, which is 3 of them, onto the left side of our colors. And then we'll need 2 blue strings in a row. So we'll move those. The way that I'm telling where I need my strings is because when you're reading the pattern, I'll explain everything to you so you don't have to read the pattern, but when you're reading it, you can see the lines at the very top. That's where your colors are going to start out. So now I've got my blue, and then I'm going to do 1 yellow, 1 white, 1 yellow, 1 white. So it's an alternating pattern. And then the pink's going to be at the very top So the very right. Now my strings are really long at the bottom. So something I really like to do is I actually like to use these. Now these are good organization tools for your strings like this, but you can also use them while you're making bracelets so that you have less string to hold on to so they don't get tangled at the bottom as easy. So right now I'm gonna just go ahead and wrap up the bottoms of my strings onto these so that it's easier to work with. Here you can see I've attached all these. Again, not 100% necessary, but when we're working with string this long, it can be really useful. So now we're gonna get started on our pattern, and I'll just tell you what to do, but in case you wanna reference it, I'll have the pattern up here in the corner. So our first step is we are going to move these over. We're going to use this brown one and tie onto the second brown one. And we're going to tie a forward backward knot, meaning that it's going to be one forward knot and then one backward knot. And then that together makes a forward backward knot. Now, if you don't know what a forward knot and a backward knot are, you can probably guess by watching me, but you might want to start with a simpler bracelet tutorial like a just normal chevron or a candy stripe. I also will link a video up here that has the different kinds of knots and how to do them. So then we're going to go to our second pair of strings. We're going to be working in pairs, so you can think about it, and the pairs will switch off, but you can think about it kind of like this. So we'll go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then we'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1 on the ends, and then 2 in between. So it'll make more sense as we go. Just follow along. So now we're going to use this third brown string, and we're going to tie a forward knot onto our first blue string. So that is going to be 2 forward knots, but kind of technically, but 2 going that way. Then we are going to do our next 2. We're going to be tying onto our yellow string. I mixed the pattern up, so it's supposed to go yellow, white, yellow, white. We're going to tie our blue one with a forward backward knot onto our yellow string. So the beginning is the hardest because you don't have a basis of a bracelet to work onto yet. Up here it's just a knot and then a bunch of knots. It'll get easier as we go. Just hang in there and follow along and you'll get the hang of it in no time, don't you worry. Then we're going to go to our next pair of strings, and this time we're going to be doing a backward forward knot with our yellow string. So we're going to go backward first and then forward, and that's our knot. Then we're going to go with our last 2 strings. We are going to do pink onto the white, so we're going to do a backward forward knot again. So backward and forward. There we go. So we have finished that first row. Now we can go start back at this side and go over again, or start at this side and go back over. That's really up to you. I'm going to start on this side because I'm already over here. So now I'm going to separate them into our pairs again. So now instead of doing the pink and white, we're going to do the yellow and white and another yellow and white. And then we're going to do a blue with our brown, and then another blue with our brown, and then this one's going to be on the end. So you can kind of get the gist. It'll go back and forth like that. Again, we will keep going. I'm going to walk you through every single step, so don't stress it if you don't understand the concept of the pattern. Hopefully you understand just the pattern we're doing. So we're going to start with these 2. We're going to tie with our white one. We're going to go a backward forward knot. So backward and then forward. Then we're going to go with our next 2. We're going to do the yellow onto the white. So we're going to do a forward backward knot. Forward, then backward. Then we're going to do our next 2. We're going to be using our black again, or brown. We're going to do another forward knot. So this one is going forward twice. And then with these two, we're going to do a forward knot. So we're gonna do the brown onto the blue, 2 forwards. Then we are going to realign for our next row. So again, I'm going to line these up. It's a brown and blue, brown and blue. This time we have a brown and yellow. We've got a white and yellow, and we've got our white and pink. So now we're all aligned again, and we'll start on this side because we're just going to go back and forth. So I'm going to do a forward backward knot with this brown. So forward and backward onto this blue one. Put those out of the way. Then we are going to do a forward backward with this next one. So forward and backward. Then we're going to do one more forward backward knot with our browns onto this yellow string. Forward backward. Now the reason we do different kinds of forwards and backwards is so that the strings will end up in different places to start us for the next spot. All right, then we are going to do our yellow and white. We're going to be doing a backward forward knot. So backward, forward. And then we're going to do our white and pink. And on this one, we are doing a backward forward with our pink onto our white. Backward and forward. Now you can just barely start to see it coming together at the top. The longer we go, the more it's gonna flatten out. It's gonna be our really cool bracelet. So now we're gonna realign our strings. This is where it starts to get easier to see which strings are supposed to go with which if you've done all your knots correctly, because they'll kind of just fall into place a little bit. Again, it's harder with longer strings, and because we're doing the adjustable one, these strings are longer, but it'll all work out. So right here is where I'm trying to figure out. There we go, these two. And these two. So we've got these realigned again. Again, those two on the outside are just gonna sit and wait for us to finish this round with these ones, but we're just gonna go through. So let's start on the left again. I know we just did, but I think I'll start doing that instead of going back and forth, and it'll be easier. So this time we are going to be doing a backward knot with our brown. So we're gonna do 2 backwards. So 1 and 2. Then we are going to do a backward knot with our brown onto this blue one. So 2 backwardnesses. And then with these next two, we're going to do a yellow onto our white. So we're going to do a forward backward knot with our yellow. Forward, backward. Then with these two, we are going to do a forward backward knot again with our yellow. So forward, backward, and then we're going to repair our strings for our next round. Hopefully you can see well enough on my bracelet so you can copy it if it's not seeming to align pretty well on yours yet, but hopefully it is. Again, if you're doing the right knots, it should align itself to some degree where you can figure out which ones are supposed to be next to each other. So I'll give you a better look at that. So you can kind of see which ones should go next to each other just by looking at the knots up here. If you can't see that, that's totally fine. Again, just copy mine and you should be good. Okay, so now we are back to using the ones on the outside. So we're going to start with these ones. We're going to do a forward backward knot with our brown. Forward, backward. Then we're going to do a backward forward knot with our brown onto this blue one. Then we're going to go to our next ones and do a forward backward knot with our blue onto this yellow. And then we're going to do a forward backward knot with this white onto this yellow. Forward and backward. And then we're going to do our last two. We're going to do a backward forward with our pink onto our white. So we're going backward and then forward. All right, so the pink gets to sit out again, and we're going to repair all of our strings that are next to each other. Let's see. Sometimes it's a little trickier to see which ones they're supposed to be paired with. Okay, looks good like this. So this brown one and this pink one are going to sit out for this round. For this next row, we are going to do a forward backward knot with our brown onto this blue. Forward and backward. And then we are going to do another forward and backward with this brown onto the blue. Forward and backward. And then we're going to do a forward knot with our yellow onto this white. So 2 forwards. And then we are going to go in with these next ones and do a forward backward knot with our yellow onto our white. So forward and backward. Okay, then we're going to bring our other strings back in and pair them up again. Again, hopefully you can see it well enough that you can pair whichever ones you need to pair together. Okay, and then this row we are going to do a forward backward knot with this first brown. So forward and backward. Then we're going to do a backward knot with our brown onto this blue. So backward and another backward. And then we are going to do a forward backward knot with our blue onto this white. Forward, backward. Then we are going to do a forward knot on this yellow. So forward and forward. And then we are going to do a backward forward knot with this pink onto this white. All right, we're gonna let this pink sit out again. Again, pair up all our strings. That might be starting to get a little repetitive as we do it so much. Let this brown sit out. Okay, we are getting pretty close to the bottom. We only have 5 more rows until we just repeat that for the rest of the bracelet. So I will show you the rest of these, but let's keep going. So we're going to do a forward backward knot with this brown onto the brown. Try not to get the other strings caught in there like I just did. We're going to do a backward forward knot with this blue onto the blue. We're going to do a backward forward knot with this yellow onto this white. Then we're going to do a backward forward knot with the white onto the yellow. And then we're going to repair our strings. For this next row, we're going to start with a forward backward knot with the black onto black. I'm sorry that I'm using the words black and brown interchangeably. That makes things a little confusing for you probably, so I'm sorry. Hopefully you get the gist, because there's none others that are too similar to brown or black. Then you're going to do a forward knot with your brown onto the blue. So forward, forward. Then you're going to do a blue forward backward knot. So we're going to go forward and then backward onto this white. And then we're going to do yellow. This is just going to be a forward backward knot. Go forward and then backward. And then this last one is going to be the pink onto the white and the backward forward. All the way down this bracelet, the pink is always going to be a backward forward knot. All right, we can see it's starting to come along. It's going to look cooler and cooler the farther we get, and I'm excited. Then we're going to repair our strings, leave out that first brown and the first pink, repair everything else. Okay, we're going to start with a forward backward knot with this brown, forward and backward. Then we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to do a forward backward knot with our brown again, forward and backward. Then we are going to do this next one with a white forward backward knot onto the yellow. So forward and backward. Then we're going to do a yellow forward and backward knot onto this white. All right, time to repair them up. Okay, we're gonna do a forward backward knot with our brown onto our brown. We're going to do a backward knot with our brown onto our blue. We're going to do a forward backward knot with our blue onto our white. We're going to do a backward knot with our yellow onto our yellow. So 2 backwards. We're going to do a backward forward knot with our pink onto our white. Now, fun fact, the fact that we're doing the backward forward knot on both and the forward backward knot on both sides is actually going to make a straighter bracelet overall. Okay, so we're going to put the pink out of the way. We're going to repair. Leave that first brown out. Then we are going to do a forward backward knot on with our first brown ones. So forward, backward. Go to our next pair of strings, and we're going to do a forward backward knot with our blue onto our white. So forward and backward. Then we're going to go to our next ones and do a backward knot with our yellow on our blue. So 2 backwards. After we do that brown on our brown, we're going to do our blue onto our blue with a forward backward knot. Forward and backward. Then we are going to do a yellow backward knot onto our white, so 2 backwards. Then we are going to do a yellow forward backward knot onto our white right here. All right, so then we can repair our strings. So do this. Now it's a little harder to see when they're bent, so I'm just gonna pull this down so you can see exactly the order we're supposed to be in. 3 black, 2 blue, white, or yellow, white, and then pink. Now that might seem familiar to you because that is the colors that we started this with. And that is because this is the end of the actual pattern, which means that you just repeat this until you're done with the bracelet. And once you've repeated that as long as you want your bracelet to be, that'll be finished. So instead of making you listen to me ramble on again with the same thing, I'm gonna turn on an audiobook and finish this. Obviously, you might not have that fully memorized. I would be surprised because I definitely don't, and I'm looking at the pattern. You can pause right now with the pattern up here on my screen and follow that. Or if you're not comfortable with reading the pattern yet, that's totally fine. Just go ahead and rewind. I will put timestamps in the description so you can rewind and rewatch that as many times as you need to follow it to finish the whole bracelet. But next time I see you in the video, if you don't pause before this or don't restart it, we will be finishing up the bracelet. So now just make it as long as you'd like, and we'll see you then. Okay, so now I've finished as much as the pattern as I want to. It covers about to right here on both sides. You can do it more, but I like to leave at least this much space when I'm measuring it around my wrist to see how long it should be for my adjustable string. And then also, I did a little too much adjustable string for mine. I added too much excess, so I'm actually gonna make a whole nother bracelet out of that string, but I will change the beginning of the video. I will do a voiceover so you do the proper amount of string. So don't worry if you see this much string. I changed the voiceover so that it would be a proper amount of string. So let's talk about how to do our finishing touch. So I'm going to take it, flip it around so I can start with the shorter side of the string, and then I'm gonna just tape this as well, just get some more sturdiness in there. So we're going to separate these strings into 2 parts like this, and then it doesn't have to be exactly equal if you have an odd amount of strings, but it can be exactly equal. You can do specific colors on both sides if you want. I kind of usually just do random, and I always end up liking it. So we're going to take this, we're gonna just set this one aside at first, and we're gonna focus on the one on the right first. Now for me, I like to twist it from left to right. So twist, 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 like that. I don't know if that makes sense which direction I'm going. So we're gonna twist it to the right, and we're gonna twist it pretty tight. This is where the tape comes in handy because we're gonna be twisting it kind of tight, and it likes to twist the bracelet if the tape comes undone. Then we're gonna hold this. We don't want it to untwist, but we are going to twist this one as well. So I like to hold on to it with like my middle finger and my ring finger as I twist this one. And we're gonna be twisting it the same direction. So we're going from left to right, same direction as the other side. And technically, you can actually twist it the opposite direction. So you can twist both of them to the left, but you have to twist both of them to the left. So if this is your first time doing this, follow these instructions, and then next time you do it, you can kind of experiment with that. So once I've gotten them both pretty tight, you can see if I let go of them, they kind of do that themselves. So we're gonna keep them pulled tight, same thing. And then we're going to twist them around each other. Now we're gonna be doing this to the left, so it's gonna be the opposite of the way that we did both of them. And I'm gonna continue to twist them, like you can see, as I'm twisting them around each other. So I twisted it, and then I'm gonna twist it a little more. Twist, twist. So that way it keeps it nice and tight. Twist around, and then twist them by themselves. Twist around, twist them by themselves. You can re-secure your tape if you need to. But yeah, just make sure you have a good hold on those strings. You can kind of see the way I pass them to each other is I grab it with my middle finger before I let go on this side, and then I grab that, and then I readjust and twist. So you kind of get the point. So you're just gonna do this until it is the desired length. So because I did my bracelet a little bit shorter, the actual pattern, I'm gonna make this longer. And then also another tip with this is if you have a lot of string, sometimes it's worth just making it as long as possible because you can always shorten it. And I always show you what I mean, but I'm gonna make this pretty close to the end of the string so that I can show you. This way as well, because I'm making it longer, I could actually wear this as an anklet if I don't shorten it, but I'll end up shortening it to show you. So then you're going to hold on to the end with both of them, and you're gonna tie a knot. So you're gonna make a loop like this, and then you're gonna pull those strings through the loop. The same way that you would start a bracelet, or in the same way that we started this bracelet. Then you're gonna pull super tight. Oh yeah, okay, so now we've got this. And this is a rope making technique, and I like to use it for my adjustable bracelet ends. So now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side of the bracelet. You already know how to do it, so I'm just gonna skip it. If your string is too long, you can cut it, but make sure you give yourself enough space to make it decently long for the rope. But we're gonna skip to that, and then I will show you how to make it adjustable. So as you can see, I made this middle section quite small, but because of my adjustable sides, I can actually make it small and get away with that, and it'll look really clean and be a full bracelet. So I really like how that looks. Let's make it adjustable, shall we? So we've tied the knots on both of the sides. So now we are just going to take it and fold it over itself like this. So it kind of looks like a bracelet. Now this can be as tight together or as loose as you want, but just make sure that these two parts of the bracelet, both knots are past each other and you got both of those together like this. Make sure you're not doing it like that. We want to make sure we're going in a circle. So now we're gonna need some of the excess string from our bracelet. So I'm gonna cut about 6 to 8 inches, and that should be a good amount for us to tie a nice square knot collection right here. So that's what I like to do, is a square knot. Technically it works even if you just tie a normal knot, but the square knot makes it look really nice and it helps it stay together better. So you can see I turned this sideways and then I stuck this string underneath both of those. So our first step is going to be tying a normal knot. There we go. Now, if you really wanted to, and you can make a secure double knot right there, this is where you could leave it. But I'm gonna show you the way I like to do it. So now we're gonna be tying square knots around this with this thread. So I'm going to start by putting the left one over top. Then I'm gonna take the right one and I'm gonna put it over this string. And then I'm gonna put it under the two things for the bracelet. And then I'm gonna put it through this loop. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're gonna pull it tight and make sure that it's getting pulled next to our original knot right there. Bam. So if you are struggling with this, I used to tape down the side like this so it didn't pull. I don't really need to anymore, so I don't always do that, but that is an option for sure. Then we are going to do it the opposite way. So this time I'm going to take the one on the right, I'm going to put it over the top, and then I'm going to take the one over on the left, I'm going to put it over this one that we just brought over. I'm going to take it underneath both the bracelet like ends, and then I'm going to stick it through that loop. Then I'm going to pull that. Now we're going to go back and forth until we're really close to running out of string, so much so that we just have room to tie a double knot to finish this off. So I'm going to speed lapse this, just copy that over and over again. If you need to rewind and rewatch that, you totally can. But yeah, make sure that you're keeping track of which one goes over first and which one goes under first, because it makes it a lot easier to make sure we have a clean square knot if we're keeping track of that. I did 6 knots on this one, square knots. So now I'm gonna finish it up by, you can do more, you can do less, but I like about 6 to 8 is my usual go-to. Now you're going to tie a double knot. So we're just gonna cross it over like this, tie a looser knot like that so we're not squeezing it together, and then we're gonna tie that second knot and tug it so it's really tight. You can tie one more knot if you like. I feel like I always do because I like to know I'm extra secure. So you tie another knot and then pull it super tight. So now that adjustable part is done, our last step is just to cut off any excess. I like to cut mine with a tiny bit of excess just so the knot doesn't slip through. But what's nice about this part of the bracelet is you can redo this multiple times. So there's no issue if that falls apart. Unlike if this part falls apart, that's not very fun because it's very, very difficult to fix. And it's almost more worth it just to make a new bracelet. But there's that. And then you can cut off these end pieces to be as long as you like. I kind of like leaving a little tassel bit because I think it's fun, but you can cut pretty close to the knot. If you cut super, super close to the knot, my recommendation is to put some super glue at the top. But I like to just leave a little bit of excess because I feel like it's kind of fun looking. And that is our adjustable bracelet back. So now if we pull it and we pull those knots, it'll adjust. Sometimes when you're adjusting it like that, you have to like hold on to this to pull it. But this will get slightly looser, but not too much looser as you go. So as you put on the bracelet for the first time, it might get stuck at a few points, but eventually it'll just pull really easy and it will also keep it in place. So yeah, you can see how clean this looks with 6 knots. You can also do more if you want it to be longer. I know a lot of people who do like 10 and it's like about, you know, this long. It's kind of nice. So then when you want to put on your bracelet, you can just slide it on, and then I like to hold this side and pull that side. Bam, done. So you can see we have our fully done mountain range bracelet. This would look super cute with some other colors. I'm not super happy with my color choice, but I do like how the pattern looks. You can also make these ends shorter if you don't want them to be super long like that. So I will show you how to do that right now. So you're going to pull this so that your adjustable part is closer in. And then you're kind of gonna want to estimate how much shorter you want each side to be. So in that case, you would make sure you can pull it on and off. That's the most important part about shortening it, is making sure that you can pull it on and off. And then you can mark that. So I want my knot right there. So I would just tie another knot with like that over what we already did. So then I can take this, and once it's tight enough, I can cut above it, and then you have a new ending. So that'll shorten it. So I'm going to do that on the other side as well, so it's decently even. It's always better to make it longer than you need at first and then to shorten it, because you can't really make it longer very well. So make sure that you're doing it in the right order so that you get your desired result. There we are. This is our adjustable mountain range bracelet. I hope this tutorial helped you out and that you get to make your own adjustable mountain range bracelet. Go ahead and check my description for any materials, and thanks for watching.